What's up guys, this is Gerard talking, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be making a full review for the Romancing Festival Creator's banner that brings Creator, a damage dealer that works for boss fights. He has chase mechanics, he has overdrive extra attacks, and covers a lot of different elements. Then we have Orlette, a support unit that will help you with remembrance. Merlot-Syrah, the best farmer in the game right now, that's even stronger than Ice-Cream Galahad. And Gerard, another farmer for row and single target damage. Well, we are going to start talking about Creator. We are here on rsrs.xyz website to check all the status, and he has good enough endurance, very good will, 112 will protect him from ailments on start of fights. We have also 122% intelligence, a very good level, and agility could have been a little better because he's also a sort of debuffer, but 99% is more than enough because he also has fast attacks. Love and Charisma are a little above the average, so he can also self-heal, that's very good. Moving on for passes, we have Climax. On start of battle, he fills on Overdrive Gauge to the max. So, on the start of a turn, if his Overdrive Gauge is full, he'll grant himself a Morale up that increases damage potential by 40% for that one turn. If his Overdrive Gauge is not full, he would then grant himself a Guard Up large that decreases damage taken by 35% for that one turn. So, if you are playing a raid battle or a score-based event, you will be able to just have a lot of power on start of battle just by activating Overdrive Gauge, especially about his extra attack on Overdrive. But you will not have the Guard Up large. It seems like he wants to use Overdrive on turn 1 so that he can protect himself on the next turn, but you can also keep it active so that you have morale up, but we'll discuss more about that later. The second passive is called Jest. After he activates Overdrive, Purge will be activated. Purge is his last attack. That hits between 3 to 4 times with C power, with lightning and sun damage. This will be used on rank 1. So it's a very strong attack. 3 times with C power is equal to 4S power. If you get an extra hit, then it's gonna do a lot of damage. Then when he's landing an attack and his HP is full, he's gonna use Holy Wrath. Holy Wrath is AoE, Lightning and Sun again, and C power. If he's not on full HP, he's gonna use Glitter. This attack here is his first skill that is random. He will not be able to choose a target, and it recovers his own HP by around 250 and buffs his intelligence. Because it's used on rank 1, it will only buff his intelligence by 15%. This time it's Cold and Sun instead of Sun and Lightning. So you will be able to recover part of your HP lost because you are not on full HP, and even get an intelligence buff. In boss fights, Glitter will be more useful, especially because you will not be on full HP all the time anyway. And if you are on full HP, it means that you may be farming, so he's going to give you an AoE attack to help out doing more damage. Now, the next passive is called the Creator's Majesty. On start of battle, 11 BP. Attack damage increases by 15%. When attacked, damage is reduced by 25%. So he has a damage reduction passive that does not rely on that extra Guard Up. The Guard Up is just increasing his resistance even further. When he lands a hit attack, he grants himself an attack boost that increases damage potential by 15%, stacks, and lasts for 3 turns. When landing a cold attack, he grants himself a defense boost that decreases damage taken by 15% and lasts for 3 turns as well and stacks. When landing a lightning attack, he grants the target defense down, decreasing their defenses by 15%, lasts for 3 turns and stacks as well. When landing a sun attack, recovers on BP by 1. So this is kind of like action switch, but instead of having 2 effects in each element, he has 4 elements, 1 effect in each of them. So the only element that you see in all of his skills is sun. So every time that he attacks, he gets 1 BP, and he will always chase. That means that he has at least 5 BP per turn. When attacking on Overdrive, he will have an extra attack, he will get 6 BP in that turn. It's important because of how he was built. But let's check Glitter. Glitter is Cold and Sun. You're gonna use that when you are not on full HP. Cold will give you the defense boost. The game kinda feels like you are not on full HP, so you need to be protected. So, defense boost. And like I said, in boss fights you will likely not be on full HP, so you're going to get defense boost most of the time. The other very common element is lightning, so he's gonna apply a defense down to the enemy. That's even better than attack boost, to be honest, because this will increase the damage of your whole party and not just his own attack if it was this attack boost. Now let's discuss skills. The first one, Glitter, the one that we already discussed it. He attacks a random enemy, but will recover his own HP by 220 and buff his intelligence before attacking by 25% on max level. So this attack will actually feel stronger than it looks because he self-buffs before, and it's just 1 BP. You don't pay much for this and can use it anytime you want to even chase again with Glitter. That will allow you to buff your intelligence by 40% and cast that defense boost 2 times so that he becomes even better defensively. Now, for skill number 2, we have Creator's Flare. That is a fast AoE attack with heat and sun. So with heat, you trigger his attack boost. And then this has C power. Well, it's not that strong, but it's also something that he can use for farming, because if he uses Creator's Flare, he's gonna trigger that Holy Wrath attack that is full AoE as well. So you have double C power. When just looking on the damage potential, you will get triple S power with 2 hits of C power. That's right. It's exactly what Galahad does. He attacks with the C power attack and then again with the C power attack, and we know how strong this can be for farming, right? But let's talk about what this can actually do besides damage. When the attack hits, grants Intimidated for 1 turn. When the attack hits, grants Sundered for 1 turn as well. Besides damage, we will be getting 2 different effects, right? And they are used in boss fights. But what exactly is Intimidated? We saw that before in his Halloween style. Intimidated is a debuff applied to the enemy that once applied, if this enemy attacks, it will self-cast Attack Down. Community says that Intimidated value is 10%, so after this enemy attacked, it will lose 10% of its damage potential. And if it attacks multiple times in a fight, it will just keep decreasing the damage, right? Now, the attack down effect from Intimidated only lasts for the specific turn that it's being cast. But you can stack the Intimidated effect itself. If you waited and used Creator's Wrath 2 times in a row, then the enemy will have 2 Intimidated, and then when it attacks, it will just self-debuff attack 2 times. So that you could wait for a specific turn and do this to decrease damage further, but again, it only lasts for that particular turn. And it makes sense that they decreased this effect to last only 1 turn because we have 2 effects here. Sundered as well. That was also seen in Sun Shower. Sundered will apply this debuff to the enemy, and every time you attack after casting, you debuff the defense of the enemy by 15%. Just for that turn as well. So you could bring multi-hit attackers like Leon, like Silver, and even characters like Mirza or Albert that have left fork. This would trigger 5 times on left fork to increase your general damage. This is very nice for score-based events. But here it lasts for 2 turns. You could do the same thing as with Intimidated, cast it 2 times in a row to have 2 procs every hit. Very nice, but now you cannot have this effect stacked 2 times because in the new skill, it will only last for 1 turn. But it still works well, it's just that you cannot stack anymore. And having both on the same time will be something to increase your damage output and decrease the damage that you take. But Intimidated is made for boss fights that attack multiple times. If they don't attack multiple times, you barely feel a difference in a fight, because it attacks first with full potential and then it self-casts Attack Down, meaning that only the second time it attacks will receive that debuff. Okay, now moving forward, we have Purge. That is a single target attack with lightning and sun damage that hits between 3 to 4 times with C power. Oh, that's finally a single target nuke for Creator. He was always an AoE machine and now he can actually do very good damage on boss fights. And 3 times with C power equals 4S damage. And if you get 4 hits, that's very, very strong. So it's lightning and sun, two elements that are very nice to have together because he will grant himself that BP like always, and from the lightning he will also apply defense down to the enemy. So everyone that attacks after creator will do more damage as well. Purge can even be used 2 times in a row because you open the fight with overdrive, then you're going to use, for example, Purge. Then he's gonna cast another Purge by use of just passive. So you get between 3 to 4 hits 2 times for lots of damage, and then you will still chase again with either Glitter or Holy Wrath. But besides just using Purge 2 times, I believe that's probably the best case scenario if Creator is your only damage dealer. If you have 2 or 3 damage dealers in your party, you can actually decide to use Creator's Flare. Why? Because it's fast. And then on Overdrive, when you use Creator's Flare, you will cast Sundered on your enemy. Intimidated as well, but just talking about Sundered. Every time you hit, you get 1 defense down. Purge, much like left fork, will trigger each defense down on each hit. So you apply it 3 to 4 times just from Purge, and another time from your chase. That would be either Holy Wrath or Glitter. So your secondary attacker or your tertiary attacker will do even more damage, compensating the lack of Purge on your opening attack. Because, yeah, you do less damage initially, but in the end you may still do more because of so many defense down stacks. So you have 2 options to decide depending on squad composition. This creator here is really great. He's a character that can act as a farmer, he can act as a boss specialist for full damage, but also to decrease incoming damage. He's very sustainable, and, well, it's from an element that has no much competition. Sun and Lightning. All the other inheritance don't make much sense, they are just AoE attacks, and AoE attacks are more used for farming than anything, and his own skill 2 is already good enough, it's fast. But you can actually just want to change the element of your attacks if you want. There is also Resurrect from his S version that can recover HP, buff endurance for 3 BP. But most of the time, you will just want to use what he has access to. I hope that in the future they amplify Creator's left hand or Creator's right hand, because this has B power. It's stronger than C, but it's blunt, so he does not get any extra effect when attacking with blunt. With all that said, Creator is such a very powerful unit that works everywhere, and he receives an OP grade in our tier list as someone that is very useful and worth to invest. Well, Creator has a different style on JP that just got released recently, and he is a farmer again. This time he can actually perform similar to Merloth-Syrah, but with some caveat. He has Burst Nova, that's a full AoE attack with only 8 power. For 13B cost, it should be higher, but he has 2 other attacks that attacks 2 times with 8 power, either on a column or in a row. So he also gets 10 BP back, much like Merloth-Syrah, so he's gonna be used for farming as they are. The next character is Merloth-Syrah. This is such a strong farmer. We have a focus on STR being 120, agility being 115, those are good values. The rest really does not matter. Although you could try to use Merloth-Syrah on Remembrance battle, I would not suggest you doing so because Will is very bad. Well, talking about passives, the first one is called Divinity. That grants yourself Morale Up, a Guard Up Medium. Morale Up increases damage potential by 25%, Guard Up decreases damage taken by 25%, and will also recover 1 BP. Then Playtime starts the fight with 14, and then when killing a target, you get 10 BP back. That's right, 10 BP time. That's important in Merloth-Syrah design. Then the third one is called Spear Arcana 5. When attacking with spears, damage increases by 30%, and when landing a weak attack increases further by 20%. So we have 50% just from Spear Arcana, and then we have 25% from Morale Up, for a total of 75% damage increase, and we have this 10 BP recover when killing targets. Okay, let's talk about skills. The first one is called Lightning Loop. It's a full AoE attack with Pierce and Lightning. that will also self-buff STR. Power is very low, just E power, it's just like using a normal attack in many enemies, but it buffs STR by up to 25% on max level. You will not be using this much, I can assure you. The second one is called Assault. That is a single target attack with Pierce and Lightning that hits enemies 2 times. It has C power, 2 times C power equals triple S. And then they also buff STR by 25% on each hit. So even through its triple S attack, it will feel very strong. And you can use this many times in a row. If you are killing enemies, it can be used for farming when there's just one enemy weak to Pierce or Lightning. In story mode, in events, it won't be enough to kill them. And even on story mode, it won't be every time. Then we have the third attack, that's the selling point. Chain Lightning. This is a full AoE attack. It's not fast, but we can use the Godspeed stance formation. Now, that attacks between 2 to 4 times with B power. That's right, B power. Galahad is C power. And Galahad has lower passives than Merloth-Syrah. And there's just one caveat. Every time that you attack with Chain Lightning, you will cast yourself an attack down that will decrease your damage by 20% in that particular turn. So, we actually have to check on Galahad now because they are competitors sometimes. Not all the time though. Galahad has slash and cold damage. Some enemies that are weak to cold will also be weak to lightning, and you will choose Merloth-Syrah first because the damage is higher. But in the case of Galahad, he uses Icy Wind 2 times. The first hit has C power and it will be stronger on level 99. But the follow-up attack is used on rank 1, so it deals less damage, usually around 10 to 15% less damage. It's very similar to what you get with Merloth-Syrah in the end, because the second hit will also do less damage, much like Galahad's. But you can also get 3 or 4 hits. That's kinda insane. It could be used in some specific challenges where you have to kill minions or something else. But overall, it's just used for farming, and 2 hits will be more than enough. You kill enemies with 2 hits, you recover BP so that you can use this again on the second wave. They can use this attack 3 times in a row to solo farm a lot of content. If Galahad is strong, they are stronger. So, the good thing is that, like I said, they don't exactly clash unless the enemy is weak to both cold and lightning. But sometimes when the enemy is weak to pierce, it's not weak to slash. You can still use them and they will be the best farmers in the game. Now, you can inherit some stuff. For example, there is Phantom Sword from the Welfare style that buffs STR and agility, and it's single target with C power. It's better than the first skill, because the first skill is E power only. The second one is called Play, and this one is actually much better if you plan on using Merloth-Syrah in a boss fight, because it grants an attack boost and a defense boost, and they both last for 5 turns. The values will be 30% attack boost and 50% damage reduction. That's right, it will decrease damage by 50%. So it lasts for 5 turns, and it also enters an evasive stance for 1 turn. Can only be used 2 times per battle though. So if you want, you can just use Merloth-Syrah in a position where it draws more enemy attacks and use that on turn 1. But after that, you have to rely on your defense boost to survive. You can cast it a second time on turn 6, for example, and it can work in, I don't know, Remembrance Battle. Because in Remembrance Battle, you probably have Matriarch, and she will be buffing, and, well, it will increase the survivability of Merloth-Syrah. But usually, it's a little too hard to protect yourself, even with that defense boost and that guard up medium, because, look, we have very, very low will. Even though we can actually take some physical damage, magical damage will hurt and you will be easily inflicted with ailments. Then we also have Boom. That's a triple S nuke attack that buffs agility by up to 40% on max level. This is actually here so that you can use single target cycles. Of course, it may not be enough to kill enemies, and it's very similar to what you already get with Assault. But Assault is Pierce and Lightning. This one here is Slash and Pierce. So in story mode, sometimes you can actually solo with any of those 2 attacks and attack 3 times in a row. But, well, you'll still be using Chain Lightning most of the time. The only direct comparison is Ice-Cream Galahad, but Merloth-Syrah is stronger, but both can still be used. If you have Galahad, you can still have Merloth-Syrah. There is no clash here. Because of such a raw power and being one of the only farmers that I can recommend pulling for, Merloth-Syrah receives a triple S grade, and it's a very strong farmer for the foreseeable future. And especially because Lightning and Pierce elements are a very good combination that is not really easy to find. Well, the latest Merloth-Syrah on JP got released recently, and she's made for boss fights and benefits from having the current premium style. She has multi-hit attacks, one that costs 2 BP for 2 hits with E power, another one that attacks with A power and then 2 hits of E power as well, but has some additional effects, can enter evasion, and then she has the Shining Fireworks skill that's kinda crazy. It reduces all skill costs by 10 points, so that you can keep using the second one that grants evasion and attacks 3 times. When she attacks, she grants a lot of different effects, like attack boosts to your party. She can also heal the party with a chance by the end of a turn, keeps getting stronger. She also grants evasion when being attacked. She will barely get hit, if any, and has a very interesting and unique design for the future. The next character is Orlette, and she is a bow user with access to fire spells. She also has a welfare style that equips clubs, but also just uses fire spells. That's why she does not need STR. But they gave her dexterity just because she can actually use normal attacks, but, well, she's all about spells. Her endurance is bad, 72% like most mages, but her will is very good with 102%. Her intelligence is 124, a very good value for damage, and agility is just 100, very good combination for both. She has good enough love and charisma as well. For passives, we have Heart of the Might 2, starts the fight with 12 BP, and when landing a weak attack, she recovers 2 BP. That is interesting because she has a guaranteed change that we'll talk more later. The second one, Curtain Call. By start of a turn, if her overdrive gauge is full, she will grant herself morale up, increasing damage potential by 40% for that particular turn. If her overdrive gauge is not full, she will grant herself guard up large that decreases damage taken by 35 for 1 turn. And on the end of a turn, she will charge her overdrive gauge by 50 points. That's right, 50 points. So this is kinda similar to Creator passive, but Creator just charges his overdrive gauge once on the start of a fight and then no more. For long fights, Orlette version of this passive is actually much better. Well, usually you get into overdrive by the end of a second turn, and then you will be on overdrive on turn 3. So you will benefit from the morale up, very large. And then every 2 turns after that, you'll be on overdrive. So 3, 5, 7, 9, and beyond. The third passive is called Flames of Passion. Increases damage by 30% at all times. And when HP is not full, damage will increase by another 30. Also, when HP is not full, she gets a damage reduction passive, decreasing damage taken by 25%. Well, sadly, it's her only damage reduction passive that will be active in overdrive. And that is if her HP is not full. It's funny because in overdrive turns, she may actually have 0 damage reduction and can take plenty of damage from the first hit of the enemy. After the first hit, you will not be on full HP anymore, and the second hit will decrease. But dangerous. Now we have 2 other effects. When landing an attack, she will always chase with fire arrows. That is not really a strong attack, but it has 2 elements, hit and pierce deep power. So you have a good chance of getting more BP back. Remember that she gets 2 BP when she lands a weak attack? Well, if you land a weak attack with your main skill and with your chase skill, you get 7 BP in a turn. And we'll be discussing this in a few. But she also has a second chase that only happens on overdrive attacks. She will chase with Corvid A, and that is double S power attack that is fast and lands hit and pierce damage that will also triggers defense down medium on the enemy. This lasts for 2 turns, And since she actually gets to overdrive usually every 2 turns, this effect will be active most of the time. She tries to stun the enemy, but that's not important anyway, especially when using this on overdrive. So, your damage is not so high, it's just double S power, but since it helps other damage dealers do more damage, I do believe it's okay. So on overdrive, she can actually recover 9 BP. That's actually very nice. But now let's talk about her spells. The first one is called Embrace. It's a single target hit and pierce spell with 8 power and 4 BP cost that tries to paralyze the enemy with medium chance. Well, paralyze is very peculiar. We want to use this for remembrance versus the real queen. Although it's easy to find paralyze with bow users, you can also just back inherit this skill into her club style and use it versus the real queen. We're going to get stage 25 and then eventually stage 30 in the future for remembrance, so she will be a very good resource for those fights. To be honest, she's all about her second skill. Corvidae, it's a fast, single foe attack with hit and pierce elements and double S damage. Just 8 BP cost. It also applies defense down, medium effect, defense down stacks with other instances of defense down and 1 instance of guard down. It tries to apply stun. Stun is made for Kazinsi. Well, another remembrance battle, but besides that, it's not important. So, remember that when you are attacking with hit and pierce, you will be recovering 7 BP if the enemy is weak to those elements. Well, she will get to overdrive by the end of the second turn. On turn 3, she will be on overdrive and she will use Corvidae again. And then, on overdrive, she will chase again with Corvidae. That's right, so 2 Corvidaes in a row. And then, she will still chase with fire arrows. 3 attacks in overdrive and 2 stances of defense down. Since this lasts for 2 turns, you can actually have 3 stances of defense down in an enemy. And this will actually increase your damage output by quite a lot when you think about it. It's kinda like Sundered, but without having to rely on the number of hits that you are applying, so that right after she attacks, all your other damage dealers will do more damage. Orlette is not really a nuker, but she is a competent damage dealer. But since she gets BP by landing weak attacks, it means that she's locking into content where the enemies are weak to either hit or pierce, so you have to bring units that are also capable of doing those types of damage usually. Her last spell is called Flame Wing. It's a full AoE heat attack with S power that uses 12 BP. She still has it on turn 1 that tries to apply Petrification with medium chance. Well, Petrification is very niche. It could be used in some tower events, but we don't have any remembrance battle where Petrification is needed yet. Maybe in the future. It can be used for damage, but she doesn't have anything very good to use after that. She will have to use Embrace, and at least she can chase with fire arrows, but I don't see much usage for this. Well, she has some interesting inheritances, mostly made for remembrance. The first one is Noise, a single target attack with C power that can apply Confusion. This was made for Wuhan Remembrance Battle. You need to apply either Confusion or Charm to the minions. You can actually just use her, apply Confusion in 1 turn, and then use Overdrive in the next turn to apply the second Confusion. Since she has actually very good Overdrive generation, it will be easy to apply. Then we have Ignition. That is a fast, full AoE attack that has C power and 7 BP cost. She can actually use this easily 3 times in a row if you want, if she is landing weak attacks. And it does have a stun chance, but stun is used for Kazinsi, and Corvidae already has stun if you really need, and you only need to stun Kazinsi in specific turns. For farming, it won't work unless you are talking about old story stages. Then there is Toxic Might Plus. This is a single target attack with Heat and Shadow. Yes, Shadow, it's interesting. That has triple S power. You could use this together on Shadowing squads for a little more damage. And when the attack lands, it tries to apply Poison with a high chance. So this was made for Carmine Remembrance Battle, where you need to apply Poison. This is nice because, well, for both club and bows, we need help in the future. And it also tries to apply Unconsciousness to instant kill. So this will be used on Secret Fate next Remembrance battle. So, like I said, a character that will use it for Remembrance battle with ease. But for boss fights, she can just keep using Corvidae all the time to do good enough damage and increase the damage potential of other characters. Sadly, she can sometimes get in danger by not having her damage reduction active, but she's an okay character for newer accounts and even for veterans that want to have fun, but still guarantees an SS plus grade in the tier list. The next version of Orlette came recently on JP, and she's now a debuff counter. Similar to Hiveris, well, she can taunt, she can apply this bound flame to an enemy that will debuff their STR and intelligence by 5%, and when she's hit, she triggers this as well. So they'll keep self-debuffing. She can also debuff all different status of an enemy and counter direct attacks with Flame Hammer. Very strong defensively, but still a strange design, but at least she has a future. The last character in the banner is Gerard, and he has 118% STR, 118% intelligence, and 95% agility. All that you want to know is that he is a farmer, nothing else. So endurance and will don't matter, that's why they are just so bad. Moving on, passive number 1, Strengthened Union 2, starts the fight with 12 BP, and when all allies are still alive, he gets 10% and everyone else as well. Then we have Energy Pillage Attack, starts the fight with 13 BP at least, that means 15 since we stack. And when killing a target, he grants himself Heat Up, increasing his damage potential for the whole fight by 10%. It's kinda useless because you just get 10% for the next round. And then it recovers 5 BP on each kill. So, this can lead into some multiple usages of skills for farming. Then we have Great Weak Tension that increases damage by all times by 30%, and then another 15% when landing weak attacks. So, all in all, we have 55% damage increase at all times, then 65 on the second wave, and then 75 on the third wave. May not seem too much, but he compensates by having skills with high power. Skill number 1 is called Solar Fang. It's a roll attack with Slash and Sun that has B power and costs 4 VP. The cost is kinda cheap since he's gonna get lots of VP, but you will not be using this. If you are, it's because you did something wrong. The second skill is called Shining Sabre. It's a full AoE attack with Sun and Slash that has B power and 8 PP cost. He can use this 3 times in a row with ease, but it's a spell. It will be based on his intelligence, and we actually have some good weapons to use with him now with Prismatic. It will only solo farm story stages, nothing besides story. And then there is Cosmo Burst. This is a roll attack again, Slash and Sun, and it has triple S power. 11 BP cost. Well, this is actually very strong, right? It is. Triple S power. But we were just talking about other characters that have roll attacks. Well, ScherBR in the other banner has, in her case, it's 8 PP cost and double S power. Right? But she has higher damage passives. There is also another character that we'll be comparing. That is Leonard. Leonard, New Year style, is a very strong farmer. You can see that they have good similar values for STR, and he uses Lion Dash, that is a double S power attack. But in his case, he has extreme attack boost that compensates the low power, so they still do very similar damage, with Gerard maybe doing a little more because of having triple S power. So, Leonard has Slash and Heat damage. Then, ScherBR has Heat and Shadow. Sometimes the enemy will be weak to both Sun and Heat. That means that you can use any of these characters. There is also Dora that has both Column, AoE, and roll attacks. So, any of them will work. Gerard is safe to use because he will attack 3 times with the same triple S attack. Now, Cosmo Burst needs the Dragon Stance Axe formation to attack 3 times. If you fail to kill an enemy, you're going to use Solar Fang. Well, like I said, if you're using him right, you will kill enemies and keep using Cosmo Burst to solo farm. Now, he also has other rotations. You can get this Steel Blade attack that can be amplified into Steel Blade Plus. That it will cost 10 BP for a 4S attack with slash damage. If you use the new Godspeed stance formation, you can actually just use it 3 times in a row. This will allow you to farm story where there's only one enemy and attack 3 times and kill them. It's stronger than Triple S. 4S attack is actually better. He can also just use Steel Blade Light, if you have it, 3 times in a row in the same way, but it's already Triple S, so there's not much difference, although Steel Blade Light should be a little stronger than his raw attack, if you want to use it for farming. And the last interesting inheritance comes from Galactic Rift. He can use now on turn 1. This is Triple S AoE, Sun damage in global, so it's very strong. After Galactic Rift, if he kills targets, he will still have enough to use Shining Sabre, but that is just B powers, so unlikely to kill enemies in events. But in story mode, you don't need to inherit Galaxy Rift, you can just keep using Shining Sabre. So in the end, Gerard is exactly strong farmer, but pulling for farmers is not recommended now that we have very strong farmers like Ice-Cream Galahad and Merloth-Syrah, so if you get him, use him, he's okay. Because other farmers with similar potential have an SS plus grade in the tier list, he's gonna get that, but they will soon be demoted to just SS because, well, those cards are not important anymore. You can usually use any farmer and there's a lot of different options. Well, Gerard has a future style on JP that is very supportive. He just gives buffs when attacking. He can also give random buffs to specific allies. He also applies 5 stacks of defense up 5% to the party. So there's a future. I don't know how good he is, but we'll see when he comes to global. Now back to the banner image. Is this banner worth summoning for? Well, yes, I gave it a gold minus award, and these characters are actually interesting, with creator being classified as OP tier in a tier list. He is just that good. He has very strong damage, especially on overdrive. He has support with both Intimidate and Sundered, and can even be used for farming if you want. And Orlette is a remembrance bot. She's gonna help you with bow and club remembrance, so a character that will just help out in specific scenarios. And Merlot-Syrah is an exceptional farmer, the best one we have in the game right now, with access to extreme power that can be used to farm any sort of scenario. Column, row, multiple enemies, it will just solo farm with ease. Gerard is a farmer. Well, he's the last interesting character of the bunch. If you don't get him, don't worry. And if you get both Creator and Merloth-Syrah very early, you can skip Orlette as well. There will be other characters that can replace her, but those 3 characters are good enough. If you want to pursue them, they will just offer you some good value. With all that said, this is my opinion. What is yours? Please say here in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you still haven't. If you want to support the channel, we have links on the description of the video. Don't forget to join our Discord server where we talk about SaGa and other JRPGs in general. I hope to see you soon in the next one. Bye.